Welcome back, everyone. Now it is fall, and that means apples are in season. Nutrition educator Lynn Matava tells us about the variety of apples you can find right now. So let's check it out.
I always think of this time of the year as a great time of the year for fresh local foods. We still have some things from the summer that are arriving at our markets, and now some of the fall crops have started to appear. And one of the things that's one of my very favorites is apples. And I know we can get apples at the store year-round, but there's something very special about eating foods when they are local and in season. They're just different, and you have to trust me on this. Coming up on October 10th through 14th is Maryland Homegrown School Lunch Week. And with it, there's an emphasis on local foods being served in cafeterias. There's a lot of hands-on activities, producers and growers going to schools to speak with students. And of course, SNAP-Ed is in classrooms and in cafeterias trying to help encourage and excite people about trying some of these fresh local foods. In Wicomico County, students have had the opportunity over the last several weeks to have local foods served in their lunches, and all month long they will be trying, in many of the schools, trying these local apples. So it's a really exciting time, and there's all sorts of other activities going on across the state. So in many classrooms here, we'll be tasting these local Maryland varieties of apples, and not all of them were grown in Maryland. Some of them come over the line from PA. Most of our apples in Maryland grow in the western side of the state, so very close, still local. And tasting apples is a really great activity that you can replicate at home with your family. It's a fun thing to do with your office, because when you start comparing these apples that are fresh side by side, you really notice the nuances and some of the characteristics and notes that you probably wouldn't notice if you just threw one in your bag or sliced it up for a snack. And it's a pretty neat thing to do. So what I did is I got 3 varieties of these apples. We've got a Mutsu apple, and this one is a kind of tart apple. It's extremely crisp, and people who really like their apples very crunchy will enjoy this. I also have some Blondies here. These are a little on the softer side, and but they're very sweet, and they're still pretty crisp. They aren't mushy or anything, but they're very sweet. They kind of remind me of honey, and even a little bit of banana, if that makes any sense. They're really tasty. And then I also have these Ruby Macs here. These are a very kind of tart, complex flavored apple. They have a little bit of mealiness to them, but and I don't say that as a negative way, because they're really great in baking and making sauce. But the thing I really love about these is that they have this smell and kind of aroma when you're eating them that makes you feel like the scent an apple should have. They're just very appley. And it's really cool. And Harris's Market in Salisbury helps us out with getting all these apples to the students in the schools, and it's just a really, really cool way for them to get to try them all. And again, when we compare them side by side, it's just a really neat way to compare them. When you go to the market, their market and other markets in town sometimes have these laminated guides that tell you what their different apple varieties taste like, what they're good for, whether they're good in baking, salads, eating, freezing, sauces, etc. And this week, for example, first graders at Beaver Run and fourth graders at Pemberton have been tasting them, and it's really interesting to hear. It's really interesting to hear the different comparisons that the students make. Even the first graders, they'll say, this apple is really sweet, this apple is really tart, this apple is really crunchy. I really like the flavor of this apple, but I don't like the way it feels in my mouth. And again, it's just a neat way to compare and contrast them. So I think even every year when I do this, I'm surprised and reminded by what a neat activity this is. So I hope this encourages you to go get out and try some of the local apples. And just, there's more than these varieties. So get out there, try this on your own, and enjoy.